This is my DIY vibratory tumbler. I'm extremely happy with the results so far. 500 came out great. Now we're just running it through higher grit polish for 2 days. But let me walk through. So first, to start, the motivation behind this. Commercial vibratory tumblers are, number one, extremely hard to come by now. Most of the distributors are out of stock, and even used ones are extremely rare to come by. And when you do, they are very cost prohibitive. They are very expensive. So I wanted to flex a little bit of my engineering muscles here and take it upon myself as a fun challenge to see if I could build my own that was reliable, looked decent, and most importantly, performed exactly like the commercial tumblers, both mechanically and results, of course. And I'll share the results after this polish is done, but you'll see it in this video. So let's just break this thing down by components. First of all, let's look at the whole thing. So we've got our frame here that holds the barrel, transferring the vibration from the motor to the rocks. We've got the entire spring system. So the frame itself is floating off the table. It's not touching the table directly. It is mounted to 4 sets of leaf springs, rear and in the front. The front is 1 leaf spring thick, back is 2 leaf springs thick. And also this added dowel for tuning the effective spring length so that I can make the rear springs stiffer. And I was able to slide this around until I got the motion that I was looking for that you saw at the beginning of the video. You want that tumbling motion. You don't want them just jumbling and buzzing around chaotically. That's not ideal. So you want the front springs to have more give essentially than the rear springs to get that orbital motion of the entire cage here in the barrel. Then we have an industrial cement mixer motor from Amazon, 3 watts, single phase, 60 hertz. And I'll take a photo of this plate or a link to it in the description so you can see it. And really there were only a couple modifications that I made to this entire thing. So this is common practice to put a rubber band on top of a lotto barrel so that the lid doesn't pop off, because it will from just vibration and from bigger rocks. But the modifications that I made are completely optional, and I didn't do them till later. So I just ran the motor as is, and I noticed after about a day of running 24 hours, motor would get considerably hot, about 140 degrees Fahrenheit. So you could hold your fingers on there for about 2 to 3 seconds before it came too uncomfortable to touch. That's totally safe operating range for this motor. Motor fires are very unlikely, but still, why not increase the life, number one, of the motor, and a little more peace of mind by keeping this thing from being blazing hot. So I installed heat fins on the top. You'll see that. This helps distribute heat by increasing the surface area that the heat can essentially dissipate into the air. It's called convective heat transfer. And then you have one on the bottom as well. Before putting these on here, I did sand off the paint. You want direct metal to metal contact, essentially. The paint can act as an insulator. And then I did that on the bottom as well. That helped drop the motor temperature about 10 degrees, but it was still hot. And then I decided to buy a little $8 computer fan here, which I'll link to in the description as well. I just bolted that on here with the 2020 extruded aluminum, and it works great. And so this fan, highly effective at dropping the temperature of this motor about 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, where I can comfortably hang out on this all day long, and it just feels like a nice warm, I don't know, bath or whatever. It's not hot at all. The only other thing that I did here is I built this frame with a 5" by 5" opening on the top. I was a little too big for the barrel. Once it started to wear in a little bit and the weight of the rocks and the vibration would sink the barrel a little bit further than I wanted it to, shifting that center of gravity too low and killing the orbital motion I was after. So I wrapped the frame in electrical tape, very simple fix to just thicken it up a bit and close that gap to about 4.75 inches across. So now it sits well below the shoulder and it's perfect for the motion that I'm after. Base, 1/2 inch, particle board, engineering board, whatever, and then 2 cinder blocks just to add a little bit of height so it's more like a table, and to stop this thing from jostling around. This thing is adhered to this with liquid cement, and this is adhered to this one with liquid cement. You can see that right here. And then this whole thing is just sitting on some gym mat flooring, some 1/2 inch rubber flooring, just to dampen the sound and reduce it from just absolutely vibrating into the cement floor, which would make it a lot more louder and amplify it. I got these little spacers. These are just made of stacked washers, nothing genius there. Just allows me to dial in the space I needed to give head clearance for this screw head, 1 washer at a time. And I don't think I'm missing anything. I just bolted this motor to the 8020 itself. Got screws that are a little too long, so I just stacked a bunch of locking washers. Pretty dumb solution, but pretty easy solution, and it works. Nothing hardware-wise has come apart at all or even loosened. I didn't even use Loctite on the threads. That is an option though if you wanted to. And then pretty much all the screws have split washers, so they are locked a little bit better than just using regular washers. So the order, if you look at this screw, it goes screw head, split washer, regular washer. And that's what I did on every single piece all the way around the extruded aluminum, these brackets that come with the extruded aluminum kits, and custom cut this with just a hacksaw, you guys. I didn't even have anything fancy. Could have busted out the jigsaw, but it was easy with the hacksaw. And the other thing is this guy. You can pop these covers off on all cement mixer motors, and there's these things in here called eccentric plates, and I'll show a photo, or I'll link to a photo in the description of the settings I have. But they are the weights inside here to cause the vibration. So there's 4 plates, and they're half circles like this. And so when all 4 plates are aligned, you have all the weight sitting on the bottom half of that circle. So this thing is going to have its maximum eccentric force, which is 45 pounds for this guy. Then you can shift those plates with respect to one another. They have little notches they click into until they're fully opposite each other. That would be 0 imbalance, and this thing would not be a vibratory motor at all. It would just be a rotating motor that serves no purpose except to generate heat from heat loss. So what I did is I took the first 2 plates, because there's 4 stacked plates, left them where they were. Then I took the back 2 and I rotated them about not quite 90 degrees, a little more than 90 degrees. I think it was 6 slots. So less than half of what the motor comes with max rated eccentric force. And that was perfect for this. Otherwise it was too violent and the rocks were jumping and hopping and smacking into each other all over the place. So that was the other thing, is I just tuned this, and that's easy. Just pop these plates off, and there's instructions online, but it's really easy to dial. They're meant to dial, meant to tune like that. And then the whole thing electrically is hooked up to just this simple guy. I've got the fan, which has variable voltage control for speed. That comes with this fan, and I'll link to that. And then I've got the motor, which is on a rocker switch, but I just leave them both on. So when I click this guy on, everything powers back up. We've got the fan running, we've got the motor going, and you can see here we're back in action, and we are tumbling. Thanks a lot for watching this video. I know it's a little bit long. I just wanted to build this thing and kind of make the entire build open source and free to any other rock tumbling hobbyists out there who have also run into this experience of expensive commercial vibratory tumblers and how hard they are to come by. So this is a very easy, in my opinion, do-it-yourself that actually looks pretty decent and runs fantastic. And here are the final results of the first batch that went through 220, 500, and polish in the DIY vibratory tumbler. And I'm very happy with the results. So we have all kinds of minerals in here. I'm still getting started in rock tumbling, so I threw a bunch of stuff in there. You guys probably would know is not the best to tumble, like pegmatite or granite. Some hematite was very low on the Mohs scale, didn't tumble very well, didn't take on a good polish. Just some other mixed minerals things that did a lot of undercutting. But of the quartz-rich microcrystalline quartz families like agates, chalcedony, quartz itself, jasper, those took on an amazing polish. And I'm going to pick a few of these pieces up. Here's a little iron stained quartz. Absolutely almost see myself in this reflection. And another lesser iron stained quartz, but still iron stained quartz nonetheless. And they're very hard to hold on to. The camera's not doing it good justice, but these things are absolutely smooth and they are very slippery even when dry. So they are tough to hold on to. I've dropped a few of them. And so you can see the polish on a lot of these beautiful quartz. I'm not sure what this one is. This one I actually found on the beach in California. So this one is not from Colorado, but it took on a great polish as well. So that is the first batch. And with the stones that are expected to take on a good polish, they sure as heck did, including this smelter slag, this iron smelter slag from a historic discard pile that we drove by in the mountains in Colorado. That's the type of polish you can get out of this DIY vibratory tumbler, and I would say it does just as good as any commercial tumbler that I've seen. And this is my first batch, so I'm sure there's things I could do differently, but the tumbler itself, very happy with the results. All right guys, thanks a lot. Take care.